Test, test. Can you hear me, guys? Good afternoon, everyone. This week is going to be a historical week. For far too long, Surrey was ignored by the Conservatives with no investments in transportation, in post-secondary institutions, no expansion of government services, and all we got was cutbacks for our border security services. While the Conservatives shut down 9 VAC centers, Veterans Affairs centers, the Liberal government opened all 9 back and opened the newest one right here in Surrey Centre. In 6 years, a Liberal government invested $45 million for a sustainable energy and environmental engineering campus right here at SFU Surrey, $60 million for a state-of-the-art forensic lab, and $550 million for a regional development agency, the newest one in Canada, Pacific Can, which will be the first federal agency to be headquartered right here in beautiful Surrey. And to help Surreyites get to and from work, BC received the largest transportation investment in the history of this province with $1.3 billion for the Surrey SkyTrain extension. And now, carrying on with Surrey Central, Liberal tradition, let me introduce you to the man who has worked tirelessly to lift 1.3 million people out of poverty, brought you $10 a day childcare, and handled our way through the pandemic and got us out of it and gave Surrey its fair share. Let's give it up for the Liberal leader and the next Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Thanks, boss.
Great to see you. Great to see you. Hello, Liberals. Bonjour, mes amis. How are you doing, Surrey? Let's give it up one more time for our outstanding BC team. Randeep Sarai, Suk Dhaliwal, Ken Hardy, Navreen Gill, Ganeek Ruel, and John Eldig. I know you're ready to keep moving forward for everyone. And to all the Liberals here this evening, my friends, it is so good to see you. With just 1 week left in this campaign, I know this Liberal team is giving it our all. Here in Surrey, you've knocked on thousands and thousands of doors and made thousands more calls. We'll keep it up. Mes amis, le moment est venu d'aller encore plus loin. On ne peut pas se permettre d'arrêter maintenant. Our country is at a crossroads, and we're facing 2 very different paths. Erin O'Toole is pointing Canada backwards down that old Conservative Party roadmap of trickle-down economics, that failed theory that if the rich get richer, it'll eventually trickle down to you. Except that it never does, it never has. My friends, we believe, we know, that if you really want to grow the economy, you have to strengthen the middle class and people working hard to join it, because that's what truly lifts everyone up. Back in 2015, I made a promise to middle-class families across the country that we would have your back. And you know what? That's exactly what we've done. In our first years, we lifted 1 million people out of poverty and created 1 million jobs. Ensemble, on a sorti 435 000 enfants de la pauvreté avec l'allocation canadienne pour enfants. On a augmenté les impôts des 1% les plus riches afin de pouvoir les baisser pour la classe moyenne. On a garanti une retraite plus sûre pour les aînés avec plus de soutien financier. Et pendant la crise, on ne vous a pas laissé tomber. The last 18 months have been incredibly challenging. They've been utterly exhausting. And for too many, they've been marked by grief and loss. Just ask Navreen, who's been a frontline doctor during this pandemic down the road from here in Abbotsford. She can tell you what it's been like for healthcare staff, for patients, for families. John Aldag's wife, Elaine, is a doctor at Surrey Memorial. I went to school with her. And he knows how challenging it was for our doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals to worry about not just working long hours in tough situations, but then be frightened about coming home and putting one's family at risk. But they did. They stepped up. I can understand why so many Canadians are tired. It's been hard. Hard on our kids, hard on our aging parents, hard on caregivers, frontline workers and teachers, hard on everyone. Canadians have seen, and in many cases, lived the vulnerabilities in our social safety net that have been exposed by the pandemic. We saw how quickly women's participation in the workforce plummeted, how racialized and low-income neighborhoods were hit disproportionately hard by the virus. When the pandemic fell on all of us, all around the world, there were no off-the-shelf solutions. So those of us in government rolled up our sleeves and worked day and night.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
We built the CERB and rolled it out across Canada to support families. We created the wage subsidy to have workers' backs and support small businesses so people could put food on the table and pay their rent and mortgage, but more than that, so people could stay home and stay safe and healthy. And you know what that did? It set us up to come roaring back. That's why today we've recovered 95% of the jobs lost during COVID compared to 76% in the US. We invested in the healthcare system in every province and territory to absorb the surge and bend the curve. And we made sure that every single Canadian could get vaccinated. And now, we're leading the world. You're leading the world. So if you haven't already, get your shots. They're out there waiting for you. And if you know someone who hasn't, talk to them. Because that's how we'll get through this, together. Of course, here in Surrey, I don't have to tell you what it means to be there for each other. I think of Surrey's Sikh community that continues to step up to help neighbors through seva, making meals and raising funds. It just goes to show that we're all stronger together, supporting each other. I know many of you have been worried about the safety of your families with the lived reality of racism. We're all remembering and grieving Prabjot Singh Khatri, who was recently killed in Truro, Nova Scotia. He came here to look for new opportunities and to build a new life for himself and hopefully to start a family. But he won't. This unacceptable act of hatred is a reminder that racism exists in Canada, which is why we must always stand up against hatred and intolerance, because we are stronger together and always will be. My friends, there are better times just around the bend. We're on the brink of a new day dawning in Canada. But before that sun comes out, before this storm clears, there are things we have to get right. There can be no moving forward for everyone. There can be no full economic recovery for anyone unless we finish the fight against COVID for good. On est à l'aube d'un jour meilleur pour notre pays. Et pour y arriver, il faut poser des gestes décisifs. Il faut commencer par en finir avec la COVID-19 une bonne fois pour toutes. C'est pourquoi on a travaillé sans relâche pour qu'on ait assez de vaccins pour tous les Canadiens. C'est pourquoi on va exiger que tous les passagers de 12 ans ou plus à bord d'un avion ou d'un train soient vaccinés C'est pourquoi on va payer la facture des provinces et des territoires qui mettent en place des programmes de certification vaccinale parce qu'on sait ce qui est en jeu. Et M. O'Toole, lui, ne comprend tout simplement pas. Mr. O'Toole won't make sure the traveler sitting beside you and your kids on a train or a plane is vaccinated. He won't even make sure his own candidates are vaccinated. In fact, we've now learned that Mr. O'Toole is just fine with his candidates who aren't fully vaccinated campaigning inside seniors' homes. Does that make any sense for families, for kids, or for our economy? No, it absolutely does not. But you know who it does make sense for? Far-right, anti-vax wing of his party. The mobs of anti-maskers who are harassing doctors and nurses, waiters, and business owners. Do you know what he just said to them? That there's room for them in his big tent party. That's who he's chosen. That's the path he wants to take. And it just isn't right. This is the moment for real leadership. When Mr. O'Toole doesn't lead, he misleads. He promised the gun lobby he would repeal our ban on assault weapons and then tried to hide it from Canadians. You can't say you'd make our communities safer while secretly planning to work with the gun lobby on which banned assault weapons you would legalize. Right now, the gun lobby is out there campaigning against liberals. Well, I have news for them. This liberal team is never going to back down on gun control, especially not this great liberal team here in Surrey. They have never backed down. They never will. We're not going to let Mr. O'Toole keep misleading Canadians. You can't say you have a plan for jobs when you don't have a plan to fight climate change. When you would take us back to Stephen Harper's old targets, when you would bring back the Northern Gateway Pipeline, when you refuse to even call out climate change deniers within your own party today. It's 2021. And here in BC, like across the country, you know very well that you don't have a plan for the economy if you don't have a plan for the environment. And let's be clear. On climate change, it's not just the Conservative leader that has a problem. So does Mr. Singh and the NDP, because their climate plan fails to meet the challenge. En ce moment, on a besoin de vrai leadership. Et c'est pas ça qu'offre M. O'Toole. Un leader qui ne peut pas dire qu'il défend les femmes quand il permet à plus de 80 de ses députés de voter contre le droit d'une femme de choisir. Un leader ne peut pas dire qu'il défend les soins de santé quand il s'engage à rendre notre système de plus en plus privatisé. Tout comme un leader ne peut pas dire qu'il défend les familles quand il va déchirer les ententes pour les services de garde à 10 $ par jour à travers le pays. My friends, Mr. O'Toole has made the choice very, very clear. We choose building good green jobs and careers for years to come, not climate denial that leaves Canada's workers behind. We choose helping young people save a down payment to own their own homes, not giving wealthy landlords tax cuts to get even richer. We choose strengthening public health care. He chooses experimenting with private health care. We choose banning assault weapons. He chooses the gun lobby. We choose the rights of Canadians who got vaccinated. He chooses anti-vaxxers. That's the choice between a Conservative Party of Canada that would take Canada backward or a government that always has your back. I know where I stand, and my friends, it's with you. Ensemble, choisissons un avenir où toutes les familles ont accès à des garderies et où notre économie revient en force. Choisissons un avenir où tout le monde peut se trouver un médecin de famille et personne ne doit être sur une liste d'attente pour des services en santé mentale. Un avenir où c'est possible pour les gens de la classe moyenne de devenir propriétaires d'une maison. Un avenir avec de l'air propre où le Canada est un leader mondial en matière d'emploi vert. Et surtout, mes amis, choisissons un avenir où on met fin à cette pandémie une bonne fois pour toutes. C'est le temps de choisir et seule notre équipe libérale a l'ambition et le vrai plan. Alors, si vous êtes d'accord avec tout ça, votez libéral. Votez pour un système de santé encore plus fort et du logement abordable. Votez pour des places en garderie pour accélérer la lutte contre les changements climatiques. This is the moment for progressive leadership. And we are the best progressive choice and the only progressive party that can stop the Conservatives from taking us backward. My friends, we're the party with the experience, the team, and the plan to continue delivering real results for Canadians. The party with a real commitment to ending this pandemic and to keeping assault weapons out of our communities. With the proven record on signing childcare deals, including right here in British Columbia. With the strongest plan on climate. In other words, the party with real ambition and a real plan, not a dream and a wish list. So if you want $10 a day childcare here in BC, go out and vote Liberal. If you want moms to be able to return to work and an economy that comes roaring back, go out and vote Liberal. If you want a future where everyone can find a family doctor and no one has to be on a wait list for a mental health counselor, if you want an affordable home, if you want assault weapons to stay illegal, if you want Canada to lead the world on good, green jobs, go out and vote Liberal. And above all, my friends, if you want to end this pandemic for good, go out and vote Liberal. Mes amis, on a beaucoup accompli ensemble et ensemble on peut aller encore plus loin. Je suis prêt à travailler encore plus fort, je suis rempli d'espoir et je sais que vous l'êtes aussi. It's time to make your voices heard. It's time to step up. Join our movement. Make some calls. Go knock doors. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your family. Keep believing in what we can achieve together. We're ready for the hard work. We're ready for the hope. My friends, let's choose to finish the fight against COVID. Let's build a better tomorrow that leaves no one behind. And let's keep moving forward for everyone. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you, Surrey. Thank you, guys.